Lovely recap there from Freya, of course, of an amazing event. You were there in person. You got to witness all of this with your own beautiful eyes.
It was magic.
What did you think of it?
Absolute magic. And I think, as Cooler said in his interview after, it was his first 1v1 title in about 10 years. So that must have felt extra special for him. And I just want to touch on a very brief point.
Go on.
No America's players in top 4?
No.
Just...
You were causing some hatred with the regions here?
I'm happy to do that. I've been doing that for a long time.
You trying to keep that going?
Yeah.
Nightmare, crazy. No, but it was a blast of an event. It was absolutely incredible. Obviously, in such a good venue for it as well, right?
And so many surprises going on. Like I was just saying, I might have been sounding very facetious, but it was genuinely loads of surprising things happening all the time. And I don't think anyone. Oh, okay, there definitely would have been people there who would predict Cooler to win, but I think given the track record that he'd been having, stuck at top 2s, top 3s. Finally getting the win, I think it's going to really revitalize his fan base and revitalize him, I think, make him more hungry for more titles.
Everyone sort of blew up over that as well, because obviously even people that hadn't really still been following Quake as much came back to sort of live in the moment of the fact it was like, wow, this is crazy. It's such a big win and a huge result for him. But let's move into the actual leaderboards for now and have a look how everything is looking, because of course things are a little bit different with some new names that are going to be on there.
Ooh, yeah. So we've had some sub-in, sub-outs as all of those games happening. I think we had Freya covering a lot of it already. Cypher took the place of Garpy. CNZ took the place of Sparty. We had Dewey taking the place of Sib, and Genic taking the place of Brick. So those are the new blood that we can see now in our world ranking, and this is where everybody stands.
Who's your pick of the litter from the new boys that are coming in?
Oh,
has got to be your favourite.
CNZ is a really underrated player. I think he's going to be very exciting to watch this season. Cypher, obviously, after what he did in Luca, you cannot rule him out. He got himself top 4. Last time he did that was DreamHack Winter 2017, and he's definitely going to be showcasing some cool skills. We get some very interesting styles added to the American scene with Dewey and Genic in. Oh, I say the American. North American, because we got Canadian there. Sorry, Chain's going to be after me in a moment. And they've both got very different playstyles, so I'm keen to see how they're going to be climbing the world ranking, because they're adding some nice flavors to Stage 2.
Yeah, we've definitely got a little bit more spice going into Stage 2, I think. There's a whole lot that actually should provide us with some very, very interesting games. And let's see what those games will be, as we can move on over to the schedule for today, with the first 4 games up on screen there, Zoo.
Okay, so these guys will be so familiar with each other. CNZ and Base, that is going to be our game 1. Will be very interesting to see the clash of styles. Avec and Razy, I mean, we're heading straight into a game 2 crazy match. Then we're going to be jumping, this is where things really change up a lot. We're jumping into then an American game, Effortless versus Dahang. Effortless, I actually think, has been on quite a high, even though Dahang did lose to Razy fairly hard in those quarterfinals. He's definitely going to have some positive things to show us. Dramus and Nosfer, that is also going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've actually got some really good games tonight. In terms of like an opening sort of day, it's been looking lovely. If we move on and check out the next 4 here as well, as you can see, things get better as the night goes on. Some huge names facing off versus each other here, Zoo.
Yeah, and Hron and Wenger have got a lot of experience playing versus each other in practice. They've had a very good relationship. I'm interested to see how it's going to be in the arena when you cast relationships aside. Chain and Cygib, I think this is actually one of the highlight games of the evening. Cygib had a great Luca, taking the map off Cooler as well, the only person to take a map off him the entire tournament, I believe. Definitely watch out for him. Cypher and Kilson, I mean, we've got to see what that's all about. How Cypher's momentum going to be carried? What about Kilson's reverse momentum from the beating he took down from Cooler? And Rafa versus Dewey, this is like a wide sort of seeding matchup, but they've actually got a lot of experience playing each other early in Quake Champions, so definitely watch out for that game.
Yeah, I think that's actually going to be one that could be quite interesting, because it's obviously kind of Dewey's chance there to really prove it straight away in the first week of Quake Pro League. If you're going to face off versus Rafa, probably week 1, get it over
trial
with.
by fire immediately, but I think there was definitely some surprise that Rafa went down versus Cypher. I mean, it was not just Cypher playing amazingly. It was that I think Rafa wasn't also necessarily on his game at that point. He just couldn't deliver, which is very, very rare. So how's Rafa going to be at the moment? Will that have shaken him? Not personally sure he would have. He's got too much experience for that to happen, but who knows what Dewey can do with his somehow even more defensive playstyle than the likes of Base and Cooler.
Well, that's the crazy part as well, is even based off Luca now coming back into it with Stage 2, having those newer players now brought in, obviously, into the system that we have here, it gives us so much to look at in terms of storylines, right? Because it's like, right, we've got kind of the old guard that were dominating, absolutely on form towards the end of the season. Kilson was looking sick as ever, Rafa still just having the game of his life every time he's on the server, whereas the question now is that just going to go back to how it used to be? Will they return to their form instantly? Or has that been a knock to the confidence? I'd say more so for Kilson as well.
Yeah, there's a huge mental reset going on in moving to Stage 2. So now being able to sort of lay the foundations for positive results straight away, that's going to be important for as many of the players to do as possible.
Yeah, well, let's get into the first matchup of the night, though, Zoot. We'll start to work our way through. What are your initial thoughts on this bad boy?
So we've got CNZ versus Base. Base losing out versus Wenger in the round of 12, I believe. He's got a great style. He's got great mechanics. I think we're going to be setting up with CNZ to begin with, the Estonian new blood into the QPL, having beaten Sparty. He'd also lost to Wenger, funnily enough. This guy is somebody to watch out for, and every time I see him play, he is getting better and better. He really started getting himself on the land circuit with a top 8 victory in PGL. He seems to have a very diverse playstyle, capable of being aggressive, being defensive, optimizing his playstyle based on the opponent he's going against. I'm genuinely ecstatic to see what he can do.
Do you have a new contender for your favourite music in the Quake Pro League as well? Because obviously we've got some new songs coming in.
Yeah, we do. My favourite has changed. But
really?
But they haven't. The guy's not come up yet. Right. Yeah, I think. Do we have to wait?
No, you can play that.
People will have heard it already, possibly. If they were tuning in at Luca, they will have heard Dewey's.
If they had those eagle ideas.
Yeah, our Texas boy.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. It is good. That is a good one.
It's very, very good.
But let's move on to his opponent, of course, for this opening game. Zoot. A lot of faith going into this one, potentially, obviously, for the man that we know quite well. We've had the whole season to see how he's been looking. Base, it felt like he went from strength to strength from me. I feel like he definitely got better towards the later stages of Stage 1.
Yes, he did. And he's someone who can be so annoying to play against in the way that he is relentlessly defensive and punishing with rockets. It's very, very hard to play against him. And I know that no matter who you are in the world as a pro player, you're always sweating when you have to go versus him. And it's become this like interesting, it's not a feud as such, but these guys are both on the sort of Eastern European side. They both have a lot of experience with their own sort of sub-communities. And I wonder if it's going to maybe be the beginning of a small rivalry.
Okay.
But so with the likes of Cooler and so on, because they are so familiar with each other, who can really get the Eastern European community kind of more on their side? Obviously, it's going to be difficult to top Cooler, but I'm very excited to see CNZ and Base.
Well, we'll have to see how they go once we get into the game. But for now, let's have a look at the picks and bans, as we do have the vetoes for this opening series. And I know this is going to get you excited too.
Yeah, so we start with Blood Run, of course, between these two players. They're going to want to play it as soon as possible. We've got Galena and Ranger. Great start for map control for Base. He can immediately get himself into full control. CNZ with the Galena can really pedal through with the totems for a long time. We're sticking with VQ3 with BJ versus Ice, and that's also going to be a slow tactical game. And interestingly, map 3, Athena versus Clutch. That's very unlike the two players.
I was going to say Blood. For this to be week 1, and you've got those two champs coming out straight away, this is actually going to give us a whole lot to talk about when we get to the first map.
So we've seen Base picking Clutch in the past, but it's not really been a sort of staple pick of his. I've watched CNZ practicing a little with Athena. He seems pretty solid with her, but it's weird in this way that we don't, as a matchup that we see in QPL, Athena versus Clutch is not one that rolls off the tongue immediately.
No, we're very lucky to get one of them, let alone both of them and on the same map at the same time. Like,
exactly.
This is wild.
So I think we'll have to I can't predict what's going to happen between Athena and Clutch, but Galena, Ranger on Blood Run, and then BJ versus Eisen on Ruins. I think and honestly, anything can happen in this because they're very close skill-wise. I think Galena, a slight favorite for CNZ. The problem is, how does he play the start of the map? Because Ranger, depending on the spawn, can very likely secure the mega health and the heavy armor early on. What's important for CNZ to do with the Galena is to just be as reserved as possible. Try and play a first 2 minutes very slowly, accumulate those weapons, contest on the control, and then make sure you're the first on the board. Because if you don't get first on the board, then base is likely going to be able to run away with it. BJ versus Eisen. It's a tough one. Eisen statistically has been so strong, but we're starting to get some very solid BJ plays in. Both of these maps can go either way. Maybe CNZ takes the first and base takes the second. Is how
I feel like the first two are going to be actually really close. Like as an opener getting into this, I think the BJ game is going to be really close compared to what we have here. And then going into map 3 on Blood, I really just I have no clue because it's such a weird one, right? Like we've seen good players on Athena before. We know that can work well.
I think Athena could be quite good versus Clutch because you need to be able to escape as fast as possible. But you know what? Let's talk about that later because Jackie, it looks like we are setting off in stage 2.
Oh yeah, we can live in the present for now. We're kicking it off. We're straight in base versus CNZ. Zoo, are you pumped for this one?
I am super pumped, and we are also starting with CNZ. And you can see now Ranger managed to secure both major items right off the beginning. He's still going to go up some damage. CNZ really quickly wants to get himself onto the railgun, trying to punish on the mega health. He still sees it up, so there's going to be a big desync between the timings. Base will eventually get it, but now CNZ has to play really careful. He doesn't even have rockets. Rockets are so important to play defensively. He needs to ensure that he can get himself to 100-100. He'll get that second light armor. And this is also, it's tricky to get onto Lightning Gun. You end up taking this small gamble and hoping that that position isn't held by your opponent. He's just thinking, right, Heavy's up soon, so he's probably going to focus on that. It's a smart play here from CNZ for being as reserved as he is.
Yeah, the near miss on the rail. But he does actually get a couple of nails off on the spam as base turns the corner. That's the second totem going down as well.
You heard that teleporter. Base is immediately going to get rid of those. This is something that CNZ's been doing so well on his streams, is these defensive rails. Oh, the nails! Base just walks right into it, and that's going to be Heavy, straight into control for CNZ. You know, but unlike Base, with a frag advantage, you can't just sit and wait with it. He didn't get his rockets yet, so Base might even come right back in for another kill.
Base has done a lot of damage on the opening. CNZ, both his totems gone, but he won't worry about that. It's not about being defensive, it's being offensive right now, as he finds that very tasty shot. He gets 2 frags on the board, looking for a fur potentially here as well. A bit of an awkward scuff between the both of them. He's going to chase Zoo. He's hungry for blood.
I like that. He's just clearing that avenue so that he knows Base isn't going to push out while he goes onto the heavy armor. A smart move again by CNZ. I think positionally he's actually been a genius, especially that second kill where he stood down the staircase. That's such an unusual place to stand when you're trapped in that area. Base totally caught off guard by that.
Oh, wow. That's a bit of a surprise out of nowhere. Luckily he's got the totem down. He barely survives, but gets away with a rocket. 3 frags now picked up in the space of 2 minutes, and it's been such a slow playstyle from CNZ. You can see so methodical, but this time he's trying to be a bit of a madman. Couldn't actually pick up the frag though, and Base will finally get 1 on the board.
Yeah, good little push from him. Base deciding, you know what, I'm losing out quite a bit. I know he's a little weak, so let's try and push in and hope that he's not stood too far back. Catching out Base at exactly the right time. And he doesn't. It's 2.5 minutes in. This is an unusually large amount of frags to see between champions like this that tend to prefer an even slower game than we've already been seeing.
Yeah.
And LG on LG, CNZ takes Base down to 2. Again, that positioning, catching off guard as he wants rockets, it's very, very scary to deal with. This orb might be used to get Heavy. Oh, it won't be because I can hear the nails coming up. Oh. He takes the risk.
Yeah.
Paid for it.
I mean, you know, he had it for at least a fraction of a second there before he got hit by the rockets.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely picked up the item.
Yeah.
We can confirm.
But he is now just on the floor. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, Base struggling into that one, obviously, going for the risky play, but the risk isn't going to pay off.
Funny thing is, it's actually a very impatient play for Base to be making. He's usually happy to take a while to get into control, especially having been 3 minutes in. You don't really need to go into emergency gears until the 7-minute mark, I'd say. 2 frags behind. But now, that's gone down to probably 5.5, 6 minutes where he really needs to control. Right, I've got control, and I'm pushing in for kills with a dire roll.
Ooh, the drop down from from CNZ as he's trying to rip his way through with a lightning gun instead, though. It's the tri-bolt that will just blow him away. That is beautifully done.
CNZ is playing so solidly at the moment. I'm actually... I shouldn't be, but it's very impressive how average he's making base looking. It's wonderful, wonderful positioning, great control, great pace to the game, and he's reacting to everything that base is doing. Apart from that one time he got caught out by Tribal.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable game from him.
Oh, it's been going very well. Very patient, very clinical way that he's been navigating around. He's been taking it so slow at his pace the entire time. Get the audio cue there as he starts to push his up. Ooh, rail straight in. A bare miss there on the follow-up. But at least he's putting pressure on Zoo.
Oh, that's a brilliant orb play. He manages to get a lot of damage from the ability, getting the super shotgun out too. That's tons of DPS. Just going to run right through the totem. It is a mutual frag, so let's see who this is going to benefit more. CNZ getting a lot of weaponry, having the LG and the rockets straight away and not being punished. He could even try and impose himself onto Heavy now.
Yeah, that worked out very well. Being so annoying with this LG as well. Stopping base to be able to do anything here as he just has to hold by. 5 minutes now tick past as well. So this is really going to start to put the pressure on them. He jumps across. It's a bit of a fumble with the weaponry. Oh, and he opts to actually just back out of there.
That's very risky from base. He has to know what weapon CNZ has out there to be able to know that it's a good move to make. Good defensive rocket, close to getting the rail. Even with the heavy lost, I still think that CNZ is looking a bit sharper. Well, never mind that. Could change quickly. Oh, he says.
Yeah, as he goes straight in there, finds the frag, and this is actually getting way closer. Initially, it did look like CNZ had a pretty good lead here, but now we're bringing it back. It's a 6-4 scoreline. There's so much more that can be done. Base, 50 HP, goes for the wide swing out. Nicely done, very smooth.
And I think that's actually been the only downfall for CNZ. He's not respected the dire orb damage and this great burst DPS potential that base has, combining with the super shotgun. He's been able to get himself in the game and really make it very close. It's absolutely possible that he comes back in these last 4 minutes. He's already been making a great comeback. Let's see how he can continue. His control looks to be his a little longer.
Ooh, leap straight up. A leap of faith as he barely gets away alive. 2 rails remaining, connects one of them. You can see his head down fairly low as he does start to go a bit aggressive here, hunting him down as well.
Very aggressive use of the orb for control. CNZ's low on HP, he's getting his totems out, but CNZ's going defensive. He knows that the orb just got used, so he's like, right, I can use this time, knowing that I'm not going to get rushed by the orb, and try and secure myself at least 1 light armor.
Base. Pretty much established control at this point, though. He's been able to roam around and take whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He does need to get some more ammunition back for that rail, though. Only 1 remaining. Oh, he's going to land it and do so much damage to CNZ. Forces out the totem use, chasing him down. He didn't have any ammo, Zoo. It's come back to bite him.
The toxic click right through. This could be a kill. Great switch. Base is so good with this.
That was nice.
Again, it's the dire. If he's securing control all the time, then he's going to be able to make moves like that if he's starving CNZ of the small armors on the map. But CNZ makes a big pick to get himself onto the Mega Health right off the spawn. So we've got a huge battle that's probably going to be coming up that base wants to take and CNZ probably wants to avoid.
At this point, there's only 1 frag between the 2 of them as well. So it puts it into a really quite a close position. CNZ, if he can afford to burn off more and more time, that probably would be the ideal outcome right now. As he knows how close this is going to get. Base waiting it out, goes for the leap up. Oh, so much damage done from the LG Zoo, but he has the high ground now. Looking to see if he can try and take down his Padawan as he's elevated into the air by his opponent's LG. Both of them trading damage, but no frags established.
Even base might have got himself into a better position. We've got some defensive tri-ball coming out. There's the nails too. Trying to get out. CNZ dodges the rail and puts base on a very weak amount of health points. Mega health's going to be up, which CNZ very likely can take if he wants to risk it. He is going to. He'll get railed in the backside. And it might be all down to this heavy armor. Oh, the vertical rail. This could be a defining moment in the game.
Space, lucky to be alive here. CNZ, if he can somehow find him and get this frag, it would be huge. Instead, though, Base is getting away with a full heal from the blood pool.
So the thing is, there was no kill that happened there, but that rail was probably the most effective rail we've seen in the entire game because it's totally nullified control, and CNZ's been able to take the run of the map in the meantime. And great scouting work with the rockets. He knows he got caught off guard by that move beforehand. This is very, very difficult for Base.
1 minute warning.
This has been like the dream outcome for CNZ, though, just trying to play it slow and actually get away. Base drops back, doesn't push instantly off the back of getting the small amount of damage off with a rocket, tries to get the follow-up out. Not much time left here, Zoo, and one frag is still deviating them both.
He needs, I'd say, 20 seconds. If he's got a really perfect dire orb, that's fine. He can run this rotation of heavy, and then it's after that. He has to win the heavy armor. And I wonder if CNZ decides to go defensive, or if he decides to challenge on the major item, and he looks being there already. Base wants to go in for an attack. CNZ won't commit. He's backed off. These are the resources that Base needs to push in for a kill.
Yeah, he has to do it now. It's now or never at this point. There just isn't much time left to fight with. This is his opportunity, though. The dire orb for the initiation. And he finds the frag. It's tied up. 6 apiece with 10 seconds left on the clock.
Huge place from Base. It was a perfect dire orb, too. CNZ could not escape it, could not land enough damage, and now Base continues to control, going into sudden death. Sudden death in the first map of Stage 2.
This is wild, but who's going to be taking it? Who will find that meaty frag that they need to close this down? Here comes the aggression. Base going in, gets CNZ rather low, but has to drop off. Was hoping he'd be coming around the corner and could slap him up with the rail. Instead, he has to retreat for the meantime. The nails whizzing by. Oh my god! So 12 HP.
What a rail shot by CNZ. He knows how much pressure he was under at the Mega Health, and Base is kind of writhing in agony. This has suddenly turned into a very CNZ-favoured portion, but if Base starts to get back to 100-100 and saves that dire orb, it's going to be huge. Even trying to dire orb his way out of there, knows that a follow-up rail is possible. He is on the full defense. The reactions there are unreal for that rail shot.
Yeah, that was a nice little pixel angle. Hits the shot, though. A minute now into sudden death at this point. Base, he's been taking a whooping from CNZ. Every opportunity he's been landing the shots and being able to put him in his place.
He's looking for another minute on the clock at least. Unfortunately for him, time doesn't matter too much. It's all up to how to react to what CNZ's doing. CNZ should know that he has to push in and maintain pressure with at least a rail shot in the next 20-30 seconds. Otherwise, Base at 100-100 is in a very scary place for CNZ.
He's limited on the ammunition, though. There's not much LG. There's only one single rail shot left, Zoo.
That was almost as good as a rail, actually, because he's nullified a lot of the armor. The thing is, it's very difficult for CNZ to push in, so Base is going to be able to tussle this as long as possible. No, I'm not joking here. This could end up being an 8-minute overtime or so.
Yeah, I mean, considering how it was going, even in regulation, for it to go like this wouldn't be too surprising. That was the last of the rail used. You just get the connection off with it. Dire orb, just for the bait out.
That is it. The dire orb's now gone, so he can't push out. So unless CNZ can push in, this is going to be another minute gone from the clock.
It's essentially just a stalemate here.
It is.
He doesn't have the rail either as well, so he can't actually try and take these long-range fights, even though we saw a glimpse. This is rough, Zoo.
I think for CNZ, the best thing for him to do is probably to try and set up some totems in some very smart places. It's so difficult, as you can tell. This nail gun position, you can hear your opponent coming from any side, and you can get so many things done. He sees the light armor at the end, and he's got his ability shortly. CNZ cuts him off at the right time, but doesn't get much damage. And CNZ urgently needs to land 50, 60, 70 damage.
Yeah, if he can have a good opener here, this should be his fight every day. He's in such a good position with his stack. He's the one that's got the advantage because he's got free roam of the map right now. Base is basically just trapped between a rock and a very, very hard rock. And this is not looking good at all.
Not a good position to be in. Okay, so he's got the 100-100. And the problem is now is a little bit ammunition, but he's got super shotgun, he's got rockets. So if he can close the gap with an opening direct, CNZ goes down. Oh, again, brilliant play for CNZ to alleviate the pressure. Base is going to make the play to get himself onto a light armor sooner. Problem is he doesn't have that burst DPS capabilities anymore, and CNZ's just locked him down. If he goes through the teleporter, he should know that there's a totem waiting for him. So he's got to calculate, can I take 40 damage? Rail misses, and he's going to say, okay, I'd much rather take 40 damage than 130 in total.
It's so awkward. He does actually get the opening rocket off. CNZ doesn't carry on with the push, does fall back. Didn't do as much damage as he wanted to there with the LG, but he's still in close proximity.
Wow,
trying to poke and prod.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, CNZ even rocket jumped across a little bit. I don't think he executed the jump too well, but you can see he's trying to make something happen, but he knows it's so easy for him to overcommit to the fight and to suddenly give base the map. And this is CNZ's first game in the QPL in Stage 2. He wants to make it a really good one. He wants to set off to a really positive start. He's starting to get impatient. Heavy's going to be up shortly, and if base has been smart, he has been keeping a tally on the major items. But that is very, very difficult to do when you're that much under pressure and out of control.
I mean, luckily for him, at least, the place isn't covered in totems. He's been doing a good job of at least taking those down. So it's still another 9 seconds before CNZ can place one on the floor. He has 3 rails left to work with. He does have that mega for free.
That's a switch up in positions a little bit from base. He's been spending a lot of time at the top, occasionally lingering towards the lower light. I think he did that once in the last 5 minutes, or maybe even more. I'm pretty sure it's been since the sort of 9-minute mark that we haven't had a kill yet. But we've had everything this Blood Run. We've had the aggressive plays, we've had the refrags, and now we've got the defensive style. We're seeing all shades of Blood Run. This is a conundrum for CNZ. How, as Galena, do I push in? No totems anymore. I think he heard a footstep. Oh, these rockets!
Wow, this could be it too. This could be where he goes down. CNZ lucky to stay alive at this point. No full commit there from base off the back of the orb. Didn't actually just dive straight in, but got him so low. And this could be where they have their confrontation, the final fight to the death. Both of them getting so close to the mark and then backing off every time. CNZ has to use the blood pool. He does go for the tri-bolt shot. It isn't going to help.
So base has just secured the control, but even with this, it's not enough while he doesn't have his ability up, which is up in 10 seconds. CNZ needs to take it very, very easy. He has to hit these rails. He hits one crucial shot, and base isn't landing, which means that he can possibly hold on to this while he gets himself back into control with this heavy armor. Fascinating sort of series of events we're getting in Game 1.
Wow, that's crazy though. Huge rail hit, base. No armor, just raw HP to play with now. CNZ in a bit of a better position, but base is able to escape. Although the prediction is amazing! Lands him with a rocket as he slaps him into the air, and CNZ, he wanted to take that first map. He was trying to play so defensive, and it worked out for him in the end.
Huge amount of control too, 21 mega health, 15 heavies, a whole bunch of light armors too. We could see that it was base taking that risk, thinking maybe CNZ still playing a little defensively towards the nail gun. Is this my chance to contest the control? But that's the point where he was taking a risk. Those 5 minutes where there were no kills, he was taking no risks. He was playing as defensive as possible. You could say we could have seen another 5 minutes of that going on, but hey, what a dramatic map 1.
Yeah, that is crazy the way it's gone down. Definitely a bit of a surprise, obviously, going into the sudden death. Didn't really know how that was going to go, but based off, obviously, the game we had, you could see it was so slow the entire time, so methodical, so much control. Essentially a trade a few times there of who actually had a dominance over the entire map, of having everything. It was definitely a crazy opener here on week 1.
Very tense for CNZ because there was a point where he lost control in sudden death, and base very, very nearly took the map off him. I believe CNZ was actually railable for a while on exactly 90 collective health and armor. But CNZ also played amazingly early on. I think he did play the better in the regulation time.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, the first 6 to 7 minutes, CNZ was really, really solid. His only mistake was not accounting for the burst DPS with the Dire Orb combo. But control, he decided, let's go back to basics. Let's do what Galena's great at, do control, and then try and find out a way to attack base.
Yeah, it worked out in the end. That's a huge win as well. Like, just for confidence of coming in, if that's your opening map, especially with what would have been quite a stressful game when you've got to that point, because you've got to realize being in sudden death like that, the amount of pressure that's on you, just, you know, as that builds up more and more as those minutes go by, what a relief for him to actually get that final frag.
Absolutely, and what a start to stage 2 for CNZ. I know it's only a map and we've still got 2 left to go, but
it's a good storyline.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it already that you qualify straight into the QPL and you already start to make your mark somehow.
Yeah.
But we've got another map that could end up being totally crazy. It is Ruins, and we're beginning.
Well, let's get into it and see how this one is going to go down It's the BJ game. Also, Eisen in play for base. So will there be any troublesome turret kills? We'll have to wait and find out, Zoo.
At least now he can akimbo. Sorry, why did I do it? It's your term. Zoo. Bad. Naughty. Naughty Zoo.
Can't believe you've done this. But I wonder if we will see some great akimbo kills.
We very well could.
Should.
The thing is, it's not just about going for the kills, it's also about just pushing your opponent away before they even come close to you, so that you can secure those items. So it can be used for a wide array of different things. But hopefully for you, Jackie, for you, we'll get some kills.
I think Rafa was one of the ones that we actually saw giving a really good sort of demonstration of how to use BJ to maintain item control. Because, yeah, as you said, you can use it much more for utility rather than actually sort of
you
to
establish
initiate.
Respect in that period. And in the QPL, everyone is mechanically talented, so when someone has got 2 guns, you're like, okay, yeah, 2 guns better than 1.
Quite literally.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is very true. Again, looking like it will be a bit of a slower affair here, though. CNZ waiting, as he doesn't want to go for the pickup yet, just trying to meddle with the timings.
Oh, this is amusing. We had a match at some point where CNZ, I can't remember who he was playing against, but they just stood by their major item for 2 minutes, and they didn't pick it up. Because I know they can hear each other picking up the item, so it's like, no, you go first. No, you. Oh, here we go.
Ooh. The damage off on the initiation. Base getting very low. CNZ to 17 HP as he gets the finisher in. Oh, that is wild. That is a rough opening there.
Calculated to a precise level. All he had to do was connect those machine gun bullets. He had a very good idea of how much health Base had left, but cutting it pretty fine, I guess you could say. Ooh.
Wow. A couple of seconds different there and he would have been dead. Instead, CNZ now still on the hunt. He's got no rockets to play with. He should be fine as long as he can keep on hitting those lovely rails that he's been demonstrating. 2 minutes in, a single frag on the board. And CNZ, if he can try and delay for as long as possible, that's probably the ideal outcome for him now. Restocks on the rockets as well. There should be another fight soon.
Oh, hello.
Almost.
Brick's worst enemy appears on the server.
Rest in peace, Brick.
Free Brick.
He will be missed. Ooh. Going in for the akimbo to try and take down the turret. Double lightning gun out, but he won't really get a chance to try and send some sparks flying. Instead, Base just using his moment to escape there into the darkness.
This might be difficult for him to attack now if Base has got set up here. Lands a good opening rail. CNZ still wants to get in somehow. He's sacrificing a lot of HP, but his rockets are glorious. 2-0 for CNZ. He's continuing the solid play from map 1.
It's been a very good start for him. If you can try and carry on with this level of control as well, this will be quite nice. He hasn't got too much in his arsenal though, especially now not having any rockets. Luckily, he gets a small pickup there and restocks on the ammo. Ooh, a bit of a fumble getting up. Could have actually messed with the timing slightly, but luckily it still works out well for him. He gets off the initiating shots. There's the double rockets out, but he's got no ammo, Zoo.
Oh god, he's not going to risk it by dropping with the lightning gun or anything like that. That's just a bit crazy. That's a feels bad too. You take the light armor and then get railed immediately after. And take that turret. He showed him.
He taught that robot a lesson. You will have rails to play with here, though, as he's being pushed. He's forced back into a corner, so this might actually be a bit awkward for CNZ if Base can connect his shots. Although Base rapidly dropping HP, his stack has entirely been removed nearly. Probably about 12 HP there as he escapes, finds himself some armor to work with, and now CNZ back on the hunt. That's a free mega, so this could get awkward.
Missed opportunity potentially for CNZ to have gotten a kill. He had him so low, and now he's going to try and do that all over again. Now, I think he should impose himself a little bit onto the heavy armor. Let's see how he continues, because there's still 10 seconds for it to be up. And he can hear him. Lightning gun is calling his name, but control is more important at the moment. CNZ super stacked. Rocket jump to the top. Now trying to push him away. Oh my god, he doesn't get himself onto the mega health. Hits a rail, but with 10 HP. Base gets on the board. That's so risky, man. 8 health.
That is bizarre of a fight to go for. It's so rough on him. He's got literally nothing as well. All of these guns, but no ammunition to use them with. Luckily, he is given a grace period. Some time to go and restock and get his HP pool back up, at least somewhat. But in the meantime, CNZ already has started scavenging those major items. They're going to have to fight over the Mega. Base will claim it. He's got a turret to protect him. But this doesn't look ideal. Oh, cheeky pixel angle, not working out, Zoo.
You never rule it out for Base, usually. He can be phenomenally good with his reactions. And again, the sort of red ammunition on the rockets, LG and Rail, are certainly scary. But the thing is, he got himself a frag closer at least. Oh, and he's going to get a frag further away now as CNZ is going to chase him down, making amends for what happened earlier. I think he got a little bit too frisky. Dual wielding into connector, but control is back to where it was previously, and he might be able to perpetuate a little harder. He's got so much HP though. That lightning gun from Base was ludicrously powerful.
Yeah, he was so accurate, just consistently hitting those shots over and over again. Really good tracing on display there. Once again though, for Base, it's the fact that he's lacking a little bit in the firepower, and he's also taking some hits as well, so this isn't ideal.
Oh my god.
That was nice though.
It's just, okay, I've got less than half a second to hit LG. I'll hit all of it. And take every opportunity that comes.
The movement very smooth there as well from Base as he throws himself up into the heightened angle. Does start to back off slightly. Picks himself up the super shotgun so he can try and slay if he needs to.
I'll be pretty surprised, I think, if CNZ manages to go 2-0 up straight away versus Base. I do see Base as one of the pillars of CIS community in terms of skill and experience. I expect him generally to make a mark and to get himself going 1-1. I think if CNZ goes 2-0 and is on the brink of a 3-0, that's going to be a huge statement made by the Estonian.
Oh yeah, that would be a wild way to walk in and really leave a mark on the server and on the overall leaderboards in week 1. Although right now he's looking at a pretty good position. He's playing it so slow as well, and Base is playing into his hands. Base has just been waiting, hoping that it'll come towards him to try and do some damage. He has what he needs to work with. He's got his tools of destruction. He has his stack back up as well, so this could be where we start to see the fight come through and Base starts swinging. Does get the tag, but can he convert it into the frag zoo?
I wonder if CNZ's going to go full defensive at the moment. It's 2.5 minutes. It is a long time. You can create some fairly scary traps with Eisen, even though his mobility... It's a bit like the sort of Galena versus the Ranger that we saw on Blood Run. Oh my god, that's so much damage. Heavy has been taken, but the rockets following up...
What?
Both get out alive. They both looked like they were dead men walking at different points in that fight.
Oh, they were very close to each other. I think he actually did hit the footsteps there and immediately backed out. I mean, Base gets the Mega at least, so he's going to come back in with some HP to play with. That was a really, really awkward fight for the both of them. It felt like that was Base's really pick of the litter to go in, start to tie things up 3-3. Instead, no.
It was just insane rockets returned. He saw the amount of 15s that were coming up from the turret as like, cha-ching.
This is it. It's my frag.
Dollar signs in the eyes.
CNZ, as we said before there, giving a bit of a demonstration on how to try and use that akimbo to establish control over the Mega, so Base didn't feel confident enough to fight for it. That would have been a nice rail if he would have got it off. Unfortunately, this has left him in a horrible spot. He's going to hold out so he can actually get his armor here.
It's a little early, but it should be okay.
It's alright.
No punishment.
I mean, the worst bit is, though, the more time that's wasted here, Zoo, the less time he has to actually try and find this frag, and I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we ended up with another sudden death on our hands.
Do you think that Base is going to be able to come in and all guns blazing, not as many guns blazing as CNZ, obviously, and tying it up?
I mean, he only needs one frag. It is doable. He's just got to find CNZ.
It's a lot harder than it was with the Ranger because he can't close the gap the same way, and these two rockets tell him to get out. CNZ even chases his way through and says, no, I am taking the second map. 40 seconds left. Still scarce control for CNZ. There's an ounce of possibility for Base, but he has got to get a move on.
I feel like he'd have to play so aggressive now, though, to tie it up with 2 frags, and I don't know if he has it in him. Both of them maintaining such a slow defensive playstyle, especially if he drops into the double LG. It would be a shock that you would not want to receive. Not a very nice gift at all. The rockets lifting him up. He will get the kill with the turret. It's 4-3. He needs 1 frag, but he's got 10 seconds. CNZ.
He's read the spawn. He's read the spawn.
Oh,
he can find him here. There's got nothing left with him, but it's going to be the machine gun taking him out. CNZ holds on with that accuracy.
How does that happen? That was literally the stars aligning for the one opportunity of like,
Right.
okay, you're going to tie it up. It's going to go 4-4. CNZ gets the kill.
Yeah. He must have been immense with that accuracy, because it's not like base was super stacked,
No.
but he had enough to take someone out off the
He had a
spawn.
slight advantage going into it.
Yeah, there was so much damage happening. I was like, did he take starting nails off the spawn or something? Because there was so much connecting. I felt like I was watching Silent Set for a second. It was unbelievable.
That is wild.
But we started with the machine gun frag. We ended with the machine gun frag. There we go.
It's all gone round and round. I mean,
Exactly.
2 maps though picked up for CNZ. Straight away versus base. That's pretty big.
That's huge, and he's lining himself up for quite a tasty 3-0 victory, potentially. We're getting over to the game that we're like, we think we know what can happen.
But yeah, it's a bit of a wild one, right? Like, even though we've seen this, and I feel like out of all of our games, both of them being very slow, very methodical sort of playstyle that we've seen, going into that third map, I feel like what we've had here, it might go out the window a little bit.
So I think we're going to see something that looks amazingly fast. We're going to see fast movement from both the players, but I actually think in terms of the amount of frags, it could end up being slower.
Oh, really?
It's like it's all sort of a cosmetic speed happening, and it's all actually exchanged control, but in they end up will just kind of run circles around each other because they won't be able to commit to fights. Athena's not going to go up against a shield. He's going to want to rail from a distance, whereas Base is going to want to get the entry damage and close in with the shield. So it's going to be about perfecting movement, not making any mistakes of that at all. Obviously control, but who can land the critical entry damage needed? And it is going to be CNZ who needs a lot more entry damage. But then again, it sort of balances out because of the size of the characters too.
Yeah, that is true. I also wonder if there's going to be any pressure put on CNZ by himself potentially here, where he realises, okay, I've got the 2-0. If I get the 3-0, this would be an outrageously big opening week for me. If that might play in his mind.
The crazy thing with CNZ, and I think it's applied to pretty much everybody I've ever casted, someone who's new in a sort of pro circuit, that once they get things going initially, that they psych themselves out a bit like we saw Genic take map 1 off to Hang when they met up in the round of 16 at Luca. He kind of psyched himself out a bit, and he wasn't able to play probably to the same level of the first map in the following 2. But this stuff doesn't seem to really happen to CNZ. He's not as veteran as other LAN players, but he seems to have a great mentality when it comes to this. So I absolutely can see a 3-0 happening, but maybe this is like an interesting test to determine this theory, right?
That is true, because obviously we'll see if there looks like there's any rapid departure from his normal playstyle going into this. We can have a sneaking suspicion if maybe he's got a little bit too hyped about it, or thought, well, look, I've already won the series, I'll just give it my all going in. But I mean, if he maintains the consistency he's shown there, this has been a really good matchup for him, because both of them have been rocking that very similar playstyle, but CNZ has just been getting those slight edges. That's really
Very
what's
slight.
been saving him.
Absolutely. Let's do this, Jackie. We have got Clutch going versus Athena. My body is ready.
Oh, lovely stuff. Let's see how it's going to go. I'm excited to see the Athena coming through. She can get some filthy hooks off, some Scorpion level plays. Straight in for the railgun though. And that's going to be the heavy taken for free as well.
Ooh, that's so much damage, and he's got a rail ready for him. He needs to get out of here. He's still got a hook to work. That rocket's going to miss. He's going to surely hook back up, but he hangs around for the fight. And Base picks up the first blood within 30 seconds. That's already not what I expected.
That is rough. Yeah, going down straight away there to the big beefy Clutch boy. And now, already off the spawn, CNZ low. That should be the follow-up frag as he turns the corner and gets a rocket to the face.
Well, already CNZ needs to stem the bleeding. He did have a hook available to him again. You know, maybe your theory is immediately coming true over here, but we've got 9 minutes left to find out. He did want to get the heavy machine gun earlier, which is why I think he pushed forward and exchanged that slight damage in the opening 10 seconds.
Right.
So maybe that pushed him off a bit for knowing that he didn't have that HMG, which is such a punishing weapon versus Clutch on a map as large as this. Well, he's coming back in already. You can see the rails that he's being able to land. Control is very much contested, and I'd say actually in favor of CNZ, even with the shield being available.
Oh, the super shotgun spamming down. A couple of shots as the Rounds will start to penetrate. Seems that though backs off from the fight, both of them being left in a fairly awkward position from that one, but no frag found, and Base is still going to be happy about this. He's slowed it down so much since he found those initial kills as well. He realised he can just play with the timing now, so he isn't going to try and initiate. Instead, we see CNZ do just that. The long-distance shotgun, as it starts to fire off. CNZ loves finding these cheeky frags.
He actually pushed the entire way. That was mental work from CNZ. He's got a shield to go against again. He has got one hook left. Base is going to give a bit of respect. He doesn't have enough weaponry, and he's already out of the shield usage. So here's the push. LG on LG. Rocket lands. Awesome mutual in the end. Still no shield, though.
No. Oh, no. This works out so much better for Base as well.
He's got a lot from the spawn.
Yeah, that was very good. Straight down, he gets the firepower, he gets the extra armor to play with as well. Here's the screams there from CNZ as he leaps up to try and take him on. Instead, starts to reposition ever so slightly. Oh, an awkward fight with the rails. Both of them trying to go for the shot, but no one actually connecting.
There's a kind of mind game going on in terms of, okay, what major item is he going against? CNZ sort of determined the flow a little bit. He has that high ground position. But Base is rewarded with a mega health. He's going to be feeling pretty good with a shield on top, and CNZ just lurks past, possibly heard the ammo crate pick up. He was over there.
3 minutes into this one. Actually, a lot more frags on the board from what we've seen before. Both of them have been trying to claw at each other's eyes. Whereas Base, though, he really has gone back to his old school style now. Slowing it down massively, just holding the angles with clutch. And if he does get into a fight, he can pop that shield. Fires out the warning shot, drops off. That's going to be the heavy picked up to mess with the timing as well. Straight back around with the LG, spamming out. Wanted the drop down, but CNZ isn't going to give him it.
I think another difficult thing... Oh, hold on a sec. We've got a big fight going on. A lot of pressure and a mistime, it looks like, from Base. Ooh. But what does it matter if you're mistiming when you're hitting rails like that?
Both of them hit as well. CNZ and Base left within inches of their demise there. Base was chasing close, but instead decides to completely retreat from what would have been the follow-up fight. He does get the hourglasses, so he's pretty close on getting his shield back up as well, so this hasn't worked out too awfully for him. He's definitely found himself in a better position, although that completely negates all of it. Straight away with the opening round, CNZ then commits to take it down with the LG.
This is pretty brutal for Base, in fact. He's short on weaponry. He has got the shield. Actually, an overcommitment all of a sudden from CNZ. He didn't need to go down there. He just needed to get the shield off and run away. He commits to the fight, and Base goes back into the lead.
4-3, one frag difference at this point. Base with a slightly better stack as he keeps adding to it and roaming around, trying to get that shield back up as quick as possible as well. Meanwhile, CNZ needs to start roaming, really. Did find the Mega, has to try and get some firepower to work with. Ooh. Here's the opening fight, though, a little bit sooner than expected, and he is really hungry for this one. The shield's been baited out, Base is attempting to retreat, getting slightly further and further away. CNZ does leave a good mark on the opener.
That's heavy taken, there's going to be Mega up soon. CNZ, if his timing's on point, should be able to get all major items, and he needs to look at pushing as soon as possible to capitalize off this opportunity. He's still got at least a hook left. And that rail shouldn't be enough to totally throw CNZ off the scent. That rail should be. Ooh. Oh, there's another rail possibility. Base, a lot of respect, gets himself onto the health bubble in time. Oh, hits the clutch rail before Heavy's taken. That was insane. I think he turned away and was like, oh, I hit that? Oh my god.
Yeah, that's big. That's really good as well. Puts him in so much of a better position now with the extra frag lead. He just needs to try and waste that time. It's on CNZ to actually start going for the fights here, and at least on Athena he can initiate pretty quickly if he wants to try and swing into combat. Or an awkward confrontation between the two. Base taking a fair bit of damage. The all-in from CNZ as he will get him very low, finish him off even with the shield, as he'll burn straight through him there with the electrical surge, that LG.
You're spot on with all-in. That was incredibly all-in from CNZ. He needs to be careful here. He might have to go for the Mega instead. He's still going to hook his way over. Now with the HMG, a lot of damage from Base and just going to leg it away. He might still be able to get himself with all the hooks used now. He gets himself all of the big items, but railable.
He's lucky to be alive, and he looks like he might actually get the frag here. As Base just stood there and took it. Every shot hitting. That's outrageous, Zoo.
It was so... Base is like, I just need to hit a couple of shots, but it's so much harder to hit Athena when she's hiding behind those stairs. So we're tied up. We've got 3 minutes to go, and CNZ still potentially on track for a 3-0.
That is crazy. A kill that definitely should have been Base. Instead, goes to CNZ. He now gets another one as well with a backstab instantly there as he just melted his way through. Base looking to try and track him down again as well as he just spotted him out.
So this is another big thing with Athena, because she can use her hooks so frequently, she can deny so many hourglasses from the clutch. And Base can't do a whole lot at the moment. There is Mega Health up. Base will get away for a moment, but if CNZ can control major items plus the hourglasses, there feels to be no time for Base to do what he needs to do. So much damage with the HMD. Oh my god. Relentless chasing, and you can see, even with Clutch's dash, Athena can keep up, no problem.
Yeah. Especially, as you said, because the amount of hourglasses, they've always got grapple. And with the 3 stacks of it as well, it's so easy to just hunt down. Even on the escapes that we had, it's worked wonders right now in this matchup. We didn't really know what to expect, but they've definitely both been playing to their heroes' strengths.
Yeah, something that Base was doing early on that was so good is how he was landing the rails when control was being challenged and putting CNZ in an awkward position. Oh, hello. Double take for a second. This might be a good fight, actually, for Base. Health bubble is taken. Oh, missed rail. Base trying to clutch it again. Not this time.
Oh, this is getting really awkward because now the kill tally is getting bloated. It's an 8-5 scoreline, which makes it quite awkward. He's got all the grapples as well, so if he needs to just escape and just run at every opportunity he can for free.
I mean, at this point, you start being defensive a bit more. Good movement from Base. He might be able to take this. Oh, not even so. 9-5. Off the spawn, he's been discovered.
Oh, come on.
And Base has got nothing to work with. He's been stripped from all assets.
This is outrageous. The times that we've seen Base just fully commit to a fight when he feels like he's going to be able to win it, and CNZ clutches it out in the last second, just being so accurate with his overall tracing right now. Madness, Suit. Into the final minute here as well. This is not looking good for Base.
Not at all. There's not a whole lot Base can do anymore, especially when CNZ's got 2 charges left on the hook. Gonna hear Base coming. Clutch can't dash vertically. Hooks can go anywhere you want. This is a hard life now for the robot.
It's not great here. Another frag found as well as CNZ gets around the back. It was so easy for him. 5 kills would be necessary for Base to be able to get back into this. At this point, it's pretty much set in stone that CNZ is going to be walking away with the maximum amount of points here, with a very smooth 3-0 to open it up.
You don't mess with a drill sergeant, right?
No.
And that's it. Base is tapping out at the moment. Jackie, we've just witnessed our first 3-0, and it is from someone who is a fresh face into the QPL. CNZ staying his name here.
Yeah. 16 points picked up for that now, obviously, with the changes that we have coming into play is Stage 2. That is crazy, Zoot. It's our opening game of Stage 2. You've had a sudden death that lasted for, what was it, 5 minutes?
6 minutes,
5, 6 minutes? Yeah. He's then gone on to 3-0 and win the entire series. That's madness.
Yeah, amazingly done. And Base is someone who's, a highly reputable player within the QPL. CNZ being able to get 3-0s versus someone of his rank, it makes you wonder what else can CNZ do. And maybe for Base, there were very small details in the game that in the match that I think swung it. There was that over-aggression where he was trying to get like a couple more bullets on Athena, crouched behind the stairs. We saw earlier he got caught out on Blood Run after 5 minutes in overtime. He made that risky play. It was these tiny little moments for Base that can make such a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. And I think for Base, his strengths are discipline. And when he suddenly says, right, I'm going to go for a 70% instead of a 90%, then that is when you see him making those tiny little slip-ups and an opponent like CNZ punishing.
Yeah, that was the frag you were talking about as well, though, with Athena behind the stairs. And it's actually quite sad because of just how high Base's stack was going into that and how many bullets he just took one after another, just getting completely ruined there. It's pretty mad.
Yeah, and just the pressure that you've got to continue applying to the clutch as well. You've got so much damage that you have to do. Base has been... Again, I'm not trying to do these puns on purpose. He is usually very clutch. And in some of these instances where he had to make those kind of flicked rails or those last-second LG to rail swaps, he just wasn't connecting with it. He built himself opportunities. He had the lead at the beginning, yeah, the Estonian reigns supreme. And I really, really hope that CNZ can continue to build up his own fan base. Base is a guy that the community is a huge fan of already. And I think it's about time that CNZ starts properly making a name for himself, continuing his stream and accumulating the fans that he deserves, because he's been a player in the making for actually a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're going into this one, we're basically saying the fact that this is probably maybe the battle that could turn into a feud or a rivalry between them.
I think, outside the arena, I never would expect there to be animosity between the two of them. But there is that point it gets to. Is like, no, I really want to have the bragging rights over this guy. You don't want to suddenly be like first to second to third best in the region or whatever it is. And
that's what I mean. If you've just been 3-0 and that's the opening game there. That's one where it might leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth.
Could do.
Something that will refresh that taste and get you excited is obviously Game 2 that we're going to be having coming up after the break. As you can see, our next match, Avok versus Razy. This one should be a fairly tasty affair, and I'm sure you'll be excited for that once we come back in after the break.
Absolutely. Razy getting himself top 2 at Luca. He wasn't able to hold on to 2 Luca titles in a row, but in the way that he got rid of Dahang and Cypher, it was actually terrifying, if I'm honest. Avek's got his work cut out for him, but he's Avek, he's the prince, and I'm keen to see what he can deliver.
Well, we'll have to find out. We'll be back very soon as we'll carry on here with the Quake Pro League Stage 2.